the American Limoges collection of fine china, only at Jewel.
The Grand Slam of Golf, Saturday at 1:30.
The British have landed. His Royal Highness, Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, Duke of Cornwall, Duke of Rothesay, Earl of Carrick, Baron Renfrew, Lord of the Isles, and Prince and Great Steward of Scotland. The man with more titles than almost anyone in the world is the Lord of Oakbrook today. Waving to the crowd from the rear seat of his black Jaguar, Prince Charles is about to enjoy a relaxing conclusion to a hectic day of pomp and circumstance. The Prince is the center of attraction as England and the United States prepare to duel in friendly competition on the polo fields west of Chicago. The Prince alights from the car, tugs his jacket just a bit, one final bow to teammate Major Ferguson, and then time for the throw-in for the most celebrated polo match in Chicago history.
WLS-TV presents live from the Oakbrook Polo Club in Oakbrook, Illinois, the United States Polo Team versus Great Britain, featuring His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales. This is the Prince of Wales Cup.
This, of course, the 18th green of Butler National Golf Course here in Oakbrook, Illinois. This area very famous for golf, but today particularly famous for polo. Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, known for many, many things in this world, but perhaps his great passion is the game of polo, and he has come here to Chicago to indulge in a game of polo that even people who know nothing about the sport are indeed quite excited about, and that includes us. I am Tim Weigel. I am very delighted to be part of this presentation. I'm joined by Lord Piers Wedgwood and Tom Harris, professional polo player, and you've seen the incredible things that the Prince has been through since he's been in town, but I would imagine now a little serenity, peace and quiet in the middle of the polo field as he gets away, Lord Piers, from all the hectic hassles he's had to face.
For 20 years, Michael Butler has asked the Prince of Wales to come and play here. This is his opportunity to do that. He has been looking forward to it, we know, for a couple of months, and I think that we can look forward to ourselves a terrific afternoon of sport.
Tom, a terrific afternoon for polo. To have the Prince of Wales be part of this sport, I know the sport is growing, and this certainly is going to increase that growth.
Well, that's true. One thing I wanted to bring out, that the English team is not here for a gallop through the park, so to speak. They're here to play polo, and it's going to be a very competitive match.
Lord Wedgwood, I know you had to, of course, rise as the Prince trotted past the stand. A lot of people don't really know what to expect, but he's really quite a decent athlete, isn't he?
It's interesting that you mentioned that. I've had a lot of questions prior to his arrival and during his time here as to exactly what one should do. The answer is that he thoroughly enjoys being with people. He's terribly good with people. As we saw last night at the Oakbrook Polo Ball at Marshall Fields, he enjoyed being out there and dancing with as many people as he could.
Well, he even danced with our boss's wife. He would have to enjoy people to put up with the kinds of things that he has to endure. But one thing that we are not enduring, we're enjoying, is all the pageantry and the spectacle. And on top of that scene, of course, is our own Janet Davies. Janet, what's the scene look like down on the field?
Oh, it's full of food and fun and fashion and tradition. Food, a lot of people have brought their own food. We even saw a little tailgating going on at the back. Of course, there were Jaguars and BMWs down there, and they were tailgating with their own picnic lunches. Some of the gourmet food we've seen around here is pate and Cornish hens and shrimp. The fashion, well, let me tell you, you don't want to come out here and see the Prince play in Reeboks and jeans. Actually, what you want to do is wear some pearls and maybe silk. I'm hatless, but there are an awful lot of hats around here and some what I'd call Princess Diana clones. And the tradition, well, the tradition is new to us in Chicago. I don't think we all understand this. But Marianne Childers last night was at the Marshall Fields Polo Ball, and she has a wonderful report of what happened there and what's happened this morning.
When Prince Charles first came to Chicago in 1977, it was an official visit, and the city rolled out the red carpet. Thousands lined LaSalle Street to greet him, and the press promptly dubbed him Charles the Charming. He promised to come back, and yesterday he did. The Royal Air Force jet touched down at Midway right on schedule, to an official welcome from Mayor Harold Washington and British Consul General Roger Carrick. But the purpose of this trip was pleasure, not business. And in minutes, the prince was bound for the Loop and a black tie gala to begin his 24-hour Chicago stay. But the prince barely had time to tie his black tie, and any delay was too long for the thousands of eager royal watchers who jammed Randolph Street by Marshall Fields, the site of the polo ball.
I wanted to see him. Having never seen a prince, I wanted to see him.
It looked like a scene from Dynasty. The limos, the gowns, and everywhere Chicago's most famous faces. Even the security men wore tuxes, and security was tight. Fields' famous walnut room, transformed this night into an English country garden, was carefully cased by bomb-sniffing dogs.
The store is ready, the dance floor is ready, and we're going to have a very exciting British promotion.
When Marshall Fields was founded about 130 years ago, the store's motto was "Give the lady what she wants." Well, no doubt every lady who gazed at the prince sitting at table 1 wanted a chance to dance with the future King of England. Might have been the first time in the store's history that Fields couldn't quite live up to tradition.
That's because the prince, by protocol, was only obligated to dance with his hostess. And with his princess back in Britain, well, spirits were high nonetheless, inside and out. When the motorcade with sirens blazing finally pulled into view, police were pressed to restrain the rush of spectators. But all the people hoping to shout or wave hello never got much of a chance. The cars pulled up, not to the door, but into an alley.
Did you get to see him?
No.
Are you disappointed?
Yeah, I waited 2 hours.
Someone who got a better look, in fact over dinner, was New Zealand polo player Stuart McKenzie, who's riding against the prince at today's match. They've played dozens of times.
Is he a good player?
He's a good player. He's a good 4-goal player, certainly worth his handicap.
So there's no special consideration given?
No consideration at all. I think that's why he loves the game, because everybody's the same out there. There's no class distinction with anybody on the field.
The Prince of Wales and his party guests dined on poached salmon, peach mousse, and French champagne. As is customary when royalty is present, the dinner was private, but afterwards our cameras were permitted back in for a special ceremony. First, a traditional toast.
Queen.
The Queen.
Queen.
Which the prince graciously returned.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please drink a toast to the health of the President of the United States of America?
And finally, Prince Charles spoke of his return to a city of fond memories.
There are several large, tall buildings which have appeared since I was here, so the skyline has altered considerably. I was also very intrigued to see what it looked like because I was made an honorary citizen of Chicago in 1977, so I feel I have at least some interest in what happens in this great city.
But as the champagne flowed and the band tuned up, it was clear that the prince's mind wasn't on the music, but polo, and his friend at the Oak Brook Club, Michael Butler.
I hadn't realized what a dangerous club it was because Michael Butler has even broken his leg in anticipation of my arrival. And what's more, I believe he intends to play tomorrow with a broken leg, which is either unbelievably brave or incredibly stupid, one or the other.
From the polo ball, this is Marianne Childers.
And from the polo ball to polo, as the prince is now out of his tuxedo and into uniform, playing a defensive position for his British teammates. And they don't have TV timeouts in this sport, Lord Wedgwood. They just go right and press on ahead with the action.
That's right. It's, as I think somebody has mentioned, it's a very aggressive sport. You're always on the attack. Very little defense, as I think Tommy will agree.
Now, Tommy, that's not true, is it? Very little defense?
Well,
I heard the great success in sport is always tied up to defense.
When you have the ball, you're on offense. When they have it, you're on defense.
All right, we should say the English team in red, naturally. And here come
Jeffrey Kent.
Jeffrey Kent for the United States on the attack.
Martin
there
Brown.
You see the English players, Andrew Siebel, Martin Brown, Oliver Ellis, and His Royal Highness.
Oh, geez, there goes Stewart right away.
And we have a spill as Stuart McKenzie
Martin, yes. Oliver Ellis brought his horse into Stuart McKenzie's horse, probably a little bit too much in front of Stuart. Stuart had the right of way, I think, on that play because
Tommy, the one thing the audience may not be aware of, that's the equivalent of a 50-mile-an-hour collision. Of both horses could be going 20, 25 miles an hour.
Of course, and they were both going the same direction.
Yeah.
But it was still a very dangerous play, obviously.
It's interesting, Lord Wedgwood, these horses, in many cases between 7 and 12 years old. Do you think of a racehorse being at his peak at 3 and 4, but a polo pony's a much different story?
I think very definitely because of the fact that they need to be trained to such a further degree.
Yeah, well, they're athletes, you know. They're athletes just like people, and they have their peak years. And although I've known very good ponies to play in their 20s.
Well, while we're waiting for these great athletes, male and equine, to get their acts back together, we'll take a short break and be back with more polo in Oakbrook right after this.
Mom, here come the popples for your child.
Popples are pals that pop out of pockets. Popples are pals that pop out of pockets. A soft fuzzy ball that turns into a friend. The fun keeps building and the laughing never ends. Popples are pals that pop out of pockets. They're funny, they're new, cause they turn inside out. And that's what Popples are all about.
Your child will love them.
What's new at Jewel this week? A wide variety of household values. Keep back-to-school sandwiches fresh with Ziploc storage bags. A box of 50 is just 89 cents. It cleans glass plus a whole lot more. Glass plus sprayer. A 22-ounce bottle is only $1.29. And Laundry Day calls for Yes Laundry Detergent. A 64-ounce bottle is just $1.99. For a wide variety of household values,
take a new look at an old friend, Jewel.
For 6 months, Charles Fuller enjoyed his Lazy Boy recliner and didn't make a single payment. For 6 months, William Drake enjoyed his Lazy Boy sleeper sofa and didn't pay a red cent. For 6 months, the Harper family enjoyed their Lazy Boy modular sectional and paid absolutely nothing. Now, Lazy Boy Showcase shops are giving you 6 months free credit, plus huge reductions up to $180 on every item in stock. Wake up to great savings and relax. Make no payment for 6 months, but hurry, offer ends soon. Dial 222 boys for the location nearest you.
Who does Mexican this well?
No one, no one, no one.
Where's the freshness, snap, and sizzle?
No one does Mexican, no one does Mexican.
No one's cooking like Pepe's.
Half-price dinners? Come to Pepe's.
No one does Mexican quite.
Clip Friday's newspaper coupon and get a second dinner at half price.
No one does Mexican quite like Pepe's can.
And we're back live in Oakbrook for polo action on this 300 yards long field, 160 yards wide, and the American team in the dark shirts on the attack.
This is Michael Butler now on the ball.
Michael Butler, the major domo of Poland out here. He has a broken leg, doesn't he, Tommy?
Yeah, that's right.
Broken foot, I think.
Same difference, right? All right, the American team, as you see, it features Michael's son, Adam Butler, playing in the number 1 position, Jeffrey Kent, Stuart McKenzie, and Michael Butler. And there's some speculation, Lord Wedgwood, that we may see Michael remove himself later on in the game because of that broken foot. You can see it's heavily padded.
I've heard Michael referred to as the Iron Man. Michael will be out there as long as he can stand it.
I certainly knew he wouldn't want to miss something like this.
No, he's been looking forward to this for a very long time.
This is Stuart controlling the ball right now. You can see how he'll pivot the play and control the play as much as he can.
Much like a hockey player stick handling.
That's right.
He's passing ahead to Jeffrey Kent. Now they're in the defensive position for Great Britain is the Prince, and here come the British back on the attack.
This is Martin Brown now when the horse weighs Michael Butler.
And he's out front. Michael's got a long way to go to catch him.
Yeah, the question is, can he put it in the goal? It looks like he's
slowing down. Marks his shot right through.
Right in.
Brilliant play.
And if you'll pardon the barbaric statement, the British have drawn first blood here. 1-0. There was some speculation there will be a handicap here, with the British giving up a goal to start off with. It's very complicated to explain to the audience, but the teams are handicapped much like golfers are, aren't they, Tommy?
That's right. Each player is handicapped from 1 to 10. Oh, that was a nice defensive play by Martin Brown. Backed it out, and here's Michael Butler.
Michael trying to get the ball back into the scoring position.
Good little back. Now you see the way McKenzie has to wait for the man. He can't come in front of him and hit the ball, because that would be a foul.
Yes, protocol is important in polo.
Well,
and how important is it, Lord Wedgwood, to switch ends after each goal? I mean, that's sort of like touch football in the alleys of America. It's
well, I think the answer is that you have an equal chance that way.
Right. If one, like today...
There's no wind factor, though. The ball isn't much affected by the wind.
Well, it can be if you're Stuart McKenzie and you keep it in the air an awful lot.
All right, now we have a foul here, or just the ball was hit over the end line?
No, I think we had a foul against the Americans that time.
I mean, we shouldn't be too facetious here. A foul, I mean, some people might think a foul in polo is using profane language against an opponent, but I mean, it's really very physical game. But is there such a thing as verbal abuse?
Yes, you can if you... particularly too near the spectators if you use too much profanity.
Hey, listen, Lord Wedgwood, these people, they've been around. I mean,
they're all real people, but Tommy is right. When you get on the field, your blood is up and you're on the pony and trying to control it. The language does tend to be quite interesting, and for a beginner, as I once was about 10 years ago, it can be very off-putting.
Well, you should be at a few hockey games.
That's right.
Yes, I've had a few there too.
Sometimes you find yourself shouting obscenities at your best friend. You know?
Now, I can't imagine profane language ever reaching the lips of that man. His Royal Highness, who is acquitting himself well. It's obvious he's been playing this sport since when? Since he was a teenager, right?
Since he was very young, and he's played right through his time at university, during the time that he was in the Navy. And he really does get I would say, a very big kick out of this game. It's a chance for him to relax.
A nice shot.
Beautiful shot by the Prince. Yeah. He is number 4, galloping away from the camera. And once again, the United States team is on the defensive. But wait a minute, here comes...
Yes.
All right, Tommy, what happened there? The play was blown dead?
Right. McKenzie backed the ball, and the British man was coming on the line, and Jeffrey Kent came in front of the British man, where the British man had the right of way because he was on the line, and he made a play on the ball which was illegal.
All right, well, with the score 1-0 in favor of Great Britain, we'll be back with more polo action right after this.
Just a little slice of America, Wonder Bread. Just a part of life in America, Wonder Bread. All across the USA, 15 million times a day.
15 million times a day. America loves the taste of wonder.
Just a little slice of America, Wonder Bread.
It's here, Chicagoland. Jewel Super Coupons. It's super big. It's a super money saver. Use Jewel Super Coupon for big, big savings on Blue Bonnet quartered margarine. A 1-pound package is just 9 cents. Or clip Jewel Super Coupon and save on regular or Dipettes Jay's potato chips. Only 49 cents a box. Look for Jewel Super Coupons in this week's newspaper food section. They're a super way to save. Only at Jewel.
What makes Diet Slice taste so good? Lemon, lime, and apple.
I need your help. My big sister, Mama Celeste, she make a great crust for her pizza. But it was Giuseppe's idea. I say, Mom, you make a perfect sauce, a perfect toppings, make a perfect crust. She do it, but I think it. So my picture should be on the box, too. You like happy, like, hey, I think of a great crust. Or serious, like, yes, I think of a great crust. Or bigger.
Celeste Pizza. Delicious crust makes it great from top to bottom.
Lindsay, take a bite, Seville.
Well, we're back live at Oak Brook Polo Club for the Prince of Wales Cup, and I told you about the food and the fashion and the tradition, especially the food. A lot of people come out there, or come out here for this. This is Terry Terrazino. She is the president of Carlisle Catering, who's the exclusive caterers for the Oak Brook Polo Club. And today, of course, you've had to throw a party for quite a few people. How many?
Yes, today we're, over the 2 days of the British Series, we'll be serving 2,400 people out here at Polo.
Now, I assume that you've done a special menu for out here.
Yes, we have. That was one of our first considerations, considering that we're working outdoors with no running water, very little electricity, so the menu preparation was one of our foremost concerns. We have tried to work with a British and American theme and tried to gear our menu thusly.
Okay, let's take a look at what we have here. Obviously, we've got fruits and cheese.
Right, our guests have been offered complimentary fruit and cheese trays in each of their pavilions, and they could go select an hors d'oeuvre buffet consisting of...
Okay, we have something going on in the field right now. Let's go back to Tim at this moment. Let's take a look.
Oh, my goodness. An awful, awful spill. And we're quite concerned about the horse. And it looks like the player is also quite shaken up, too. That's Andrew Siebel, isn't it?
Yes, Prince Charles also went down on that,
oh, my
collision,
goodness.
but he seems to be all right, and Siebel isn't hurt seriously.
But the horse is a great concern.
The horse is not getting up, and it's not a good sign. Although oftentimes they only get the wind knocked out of them.
Yes.
It didn't look like the horse went down that hard.
It didn't appear to be that dramatic a spill, but this has to be quite common, Lord Wedgwood, with all the contact between the horses.
Not so common, really.
Well, then if it isn't, it's a miracle, because it seems to be an awful lot of contact between the
falls are common, but it's not common for a horse not to get back up.
I'm afraid it's not a good sign to see the horse on the ground like that.
This is very, very sad.
We do have veterinarians, of course, here looking at the horse.
And Andrew Siebel's being attended to, but he does not appear to be seriously shaken up. The Prince went down on another spill that looked like no horse had hit him. But the horse just seemed to buckle under.
Well, like in so many sports, things happen so very, very quickly. And
he was involved in the same spill. There were 3 horses involved altogether.
Yes, but it seemed that he went down a few moments after the initial spill.
Yeah, I think his horse sort of lost his balance and then finally went down.
You see the Prince in the middle of your picture. He's talking with Jeffrey Kent, number 2 from the United States team. And the signs are very forbidding concerning the horse of Andrew Siebel. That being an American horse, since the British players have all taken American polo ponies since they came over here. And the horse is not thrashing at all.
No.
Which would normally when you see a horse go down, now he's getting up. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful sign.
Thank God for that.
Quite a relief.
You know, they'll do that sometimes.
Probably there you see it. Tommy was absolutely right. That it just had the wind knocked out of him, and it's a super sight to see it get back.
Tremendous relief.
Yeah.
You know, Sir Mara, the horse is such a noble steed, and often you get a little mawkish when you fret over the health of these animals.
I'm sure there will be a number of people like myself watching who feel very much the same. You know, you can mend somebody's leg, but it's horrible to see it when a pony or a horse goes down, because that's disastrous.
Well, it's a tremendous sense of relief to see the horse is all right, and so is apparently Andrew Siebel, who is up on his feet now. While we were away, we not only missed the fall, but also a couple of goals. It's now 2-1 in favor of Great Britain. The United States did score the last goal after falling down 2-0.
Oh, here's a replay. I don't know if this is
this appears to be Jeffrey Kent.
That's Jeffrey's goal there.
Yeah, Jeffrey Kent zooming in and scoring to make the score at this point 2-1 in favor of Great Britain. And order has been, you see the pony is shaken up, but
it looks fine.
He's going to be okay.
Fine.
Well, we're very relieved to have that happy conclusion to a very upsetting saga for just a moment, and we'll be back with more live polo action after we take another time out.
With a little luck this fall, your child could go back to school with an apple. Just play the Pack-a-Punch lunch game, and you could win an Apple computer, a BMX bicycle, or Voltron. Look for game cards in these products at the Pack-a-Punch lunch display at your grocer's. Play the Pack-a-Punch lunch game. Or this could be the only kind of apple Junior gets this fall.
Can sausage this fresh looking, this brown, this good come out of a microwave in less than a minute? This sausage can. New Tennessee Pride brown skillet-style sausage. The finest premium cuts of grain-fed pork and a secret blend of natural savory spices are fully cooked to perfection, then vacuum sealed to protect all that good country fresh flavor. Tennessee Pride brown skillet-style sausage. You've got to taste it to believe it.
Competition in this business is awesome. Chefs are always trying to outdo each other. Some of my best ideas are simple. Try crumbling bacon into rice while it's cooking for a delicious smoky flavor. And make sure the rice is Uncle Ben's.
Uncle Ben's is separate, not sticky. And it's whole, not broken like the other leading national brand. Restaurants prefer Uncle Ben's 16-to-1 over any other rice. Uncle Ben's converted brand rice.
It really does make a difference.
Now listen up. New Crush has 10% fruit juice and a fruity taste so real you'll want to peel it.
Peel me a Crush, sweet darling. I want a taste that's bigger than real. Peel me a Crush with 10% juice. It's a feeling I've just got to feel. Peel it down to the natural juice and a taste that's totally wow. Peel me a Crush, you good looking thing. Peel me. Peel me a Crush right now.
We're back live in Oak Brook with the British and American flags flying over the proceedings, and our flags are flying a lot higher now that we've averted a disaster. Tommy, that's certainly an indication of how hard these players are playing. This is not a gentlemanly, as you said, a gallop through the bushes.
No, that's right. They're all pushing their competitive edge as far to the limit as they can in this game.
We should also point out, Lord Wedgwood, they did have a game here Wednesday, and the United States was victorious. What was the score, 10-6? Is that?
It was 10-6, although I don't think that score really reflects the play. I think it really, as far as the play goes, it was a much closer game.
Well, of course, the British team didn't have the Prince, so that makes...
Well, that's true. That's true.
Although I don't think Ronnie Ferguson would agree with you on that one.
Major Ferguson, Fergie's father, was, of course, replacing the Prince. And here he comes. There he is, I should say. Yes. And is Andrew Seville aboard a new pony? He is. And he's back in action. That's nice to see. Number 1 for Great Britain.
The scary thing was the Prince himself also went down on that spill.
That is a rather frightening prospect, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, one forgets, I know that his family, Lord Wedgwood, has many times stressed, haven't they, that they'd like to see him give this sport up?
Well, as you know, so many of them are involved in equestrian sports, and whenever you're atop a horse, you know that there is a possibility of coming down, and it can be serious. I know that they've asked him to take it easy, and he, at one stage, was competing with racehorses. I think it's a lot maybe easier for them to see him on a polo pony, but hopefully we're going to see him through this without any injury.
Yes, that was a little nerve-wracking. Yeah. Well, now that we've gotten that cleared up, the score 2-1 in favor of England, let's go back to Janet Davis in the catering.
The food. The food, that's what we're talking about. All right, before we were interrupted, and we're glad that incident had a happy conclusion. Terry Terrazino, she's president of Carlisle Catering, just to bring you up to date on what the food is here, and she's responsible for that. All right, tell me about the American and the blending of the American and English cuisine you've done here.
On the English side, we're offering blueberry scones with smoked turkey and currant jam, vegetable pate wrapped in seaweed with a pate forestier.
Oh, and seaweed's so British.
Marinated shrimp wrapped in pea pods, and orange muffins with cream cheese and walnuts with cornichon sauces.
Oh my, so terribly British. Now in the picnic baskets, what do you have?
Well, we also wanted to offer a basket luncheon idea to give our guests also a complimentary basket as a souvenir of the day. Inside, we're serving a Cornish game hen with Scottish salmon with a dill dressing.
Can you open that? Look at this. This isn't beer and hot dogs, let me tell you.
With a grape garni, Scottish salmon with dill dressing, Cornish game hen. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. Thank you, Terry. We're going to have to go back to Tim and see what's going on the field. Tim?
Well, Janet, first of all, Steve Dester's going to talk to me about kicking your last name. I was so excited up here. Janet Davies. I beg your pardon. And while we were away, Janet, Prince Charles rode off Stuart Mackenzie, and Mackenzie, you'd have to say, Tommy, the best player in the match, certainly yes. According to his goal rating.
Yes, he had a very good chance to score there, too, but he had the Prince gave him a ride-off, and he didn't make his shot. Now we have a situation they call a safety, is when the defending team hits the ball over the back line, rather the attacking team. So the attacking team now will get a shot from 60 yards out to the goal.
We have to be nearing the end of the first chukker, isn't that right, Lord Wedgwood?
The chukkers are each 7.5 minutes, and I think even with the timeouts that we've had, as you might say, we must be getting close to it.
And we're playing a 4-chukker match.
We're right at the end, because the whistle went off, and then the bell to signify the end. So there's only about 2 seconds left for the first bell.
Geez, that's a relief. I'd hate to have the chukker end without me knowing it. They would tell us, wouldn't they?
Maybe. Ooh, that's a nice shot. Oh, I guess it went wide.
Just wide.
There's the end of the chukker.
And with that near miss, and the score is still England 2, the United States 1. We are indeed at the end of the first chukker. We'll be back with polo catering and all sorts of pageantry in Oak Brook, but first this timeout.
There's a lot of reasons why we came to Sizzler for all-you-can-eat shrimp. The shrimp are really good.
All you can eat.
And you get a thick sirloin steak.
With shrimp. All you can eat.
And it's a great deal.
All you can eat.
Now you can get steak and all the golden, crunchy fried shrimp you can eat for a shrimp of a price at the steak, seafood, salad.
Are you going to eat that?
Sizzler.
The Heritage China collection from American Limoges is yours at Jewel. You can collect a different piece each week for just 59 cents. This classic example of fine china is crafted in 2 delicate patterns, bridal bouquet and the lovely white-on-white lace bouquet. A complete 20-piece setting for 4 is less than $12. Matching pieces like this covered casserole and creamer are also available at special savings. The American Limoges collection of fine china, only at Jewel.
Well, there's no better way to invest in our future than to invest in our children. It's a different world. They have to learn different things. And the education that I got 40 years ago isn't good enough for my child today.
With a commitment to better prepare our children for the future, Governor Thompson pushed through a far-reaching series of educational reforms. To achieve excellence, teachers are now tested, and performance-based pay rewards good teachers for superior work. Curriculum is being upgraded by providing better reading instruction.
Megan? Milton.
More computers in the classroom, modernizing our science labs and emphasizing math. And Governor Thompson fought for and signed a law that now requires all lottery proceeds to fund education. These innovations led the respected Education Commission of the States to remark, Illinois is the first northern industrial state to take such sweeping steps toward school improvement. Jim Thompson, because he's a leader.
We're back live in Oak Brook, and we're still between chukkers, as we say here. Chukker being, of course, the polo word for periods or quarters. And while we're having this hiatus in the live match, some of the people may be a bit confused about the rules that we're talking about here in polo. So to enlighten everybody, let's take a closer look at just how the game of polo is played.
In polo, the rules evolve around safety of the players. The line of the ball is the biggest safety factor in polo. When a man strikes the ball, he creates an imaginary line from the point of contact to beyond where the ball stops. Another player may not cross this line at a 90-degree angle, creating a potential of collision that could hurt either player. In order to avoid crossing the line and creating the potential for danger, the potential for collision, a player must make contact with the man first and physically move him over the line and then strike at the ball on the other side of the line. This is an example of the legal way to gain possession of the line. You see the man hitting on the offside. His opponent comes in, rides him off, physically gaining possession of the line, and then makes his play. All the players have to use their right hand when they're striking. Even if you're left-handed, you have to hit with your right hand. Although shots are taken on both the left side and the right side of the horse, the left side is called the near side, and the right side is the offside. This is an example of an offside back shot. All the shots on the offside are the stronger shots. The near side's taken on the left side, which makes it the more difficult of the shots to execute. This is an example of a neck shot. This shot has to be taken with the player way out over the horse's neck and done very quickly. This shows the correct way to hook an opponent's mallet. You have the player trying to make the shot on the offside, the opponent hooking his mallet as he does, keeping him from making contact with the ball. This is a demonstration of an incorrect hook. This is called the high hook. The man making the shot on his offside is hooked above the shoulder by his opponent. When a player starts out in polo, he's usually recommended to do 3 things. The most important is the man. Take the man first. Second, gain possession of the line. Third, make your play on the ball. These are the basic rules of polo, and I hope they'll give you a better understanding of the game.
We're back live now. That, of course, being Adam Butler, Michael's son. He is number 1 in this game, 22 years old, Lord Wedgwood. It's a shame the guy can't get any dates. His social life is just zilch.
It's very hard on the guy. As you said, I think he even surprises his father, Michael,
who has a rather prodigious social life of his own. But we'll stick to his athletic life right now. Number 2 for the United States is Jeffrey Kent. The United States in the dark shirts and trailing 2-1. And Tommy, wouldn't you say this is a relatively low-scoring game, or no?
It is, actually. There've been plenty of near misses on the goal, but neither team can quite get it.
I always ask you for observations and then cringe a little bit, fearing that I have stressed the obvious or said the ridiculous. I mean, but the game is kind of easy to pick up once you watch it enough.
Yeah, once you understand it a little bit.
And that tape by Adam Butler helped. That was Prince Charles, number 4. And
we just had a penalty call against the United States, and so the Prince Charles is now going to take a penalty shot.
Lord Wedgwood, it would take a great deal of effrontery on the part of a referee or umpire, wouldn't it, to call a foul on the Prince of Wales?
When they're out on the field, they're all equal, and Prince Charles knows that.
That's almost true.
There must be some edge somewhere. Come on now. I mean, they're not that...
Well, I know, talking about Adam Butler...
Not that egalitarian.
Adam Butler was asked if he was going to be riding as hard as he would because he's marking him, and he said, absolutely. This is the game.
That was a good defensive play by McKenzie, and now Martin Brown backs it there.
We should explain that 2 of the players are primarily offensive. One kind of swings in the middle, and then the rear fellow, obviously, for defense, and that's the Prince in the case of the British team.
That's right.
And it's usually true that the fellow in the middle is your best player.
That's usually the case, yes.
Usually number 3, Tommy?
Yes, he has to be the thinker of the team. He has to set up the plays and make a lot of the decision.
I think it was Michael Butler who whiffed on that defensive move, and there's a goal.
There it is. Yeah. Martin Brown.
Martin Brown has just given England a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, he's been playing very well in this series too. I think he might be.
How often does the Prince get to practice with these fellows, or these chaps, as we say? I mean, he's rather busy socially.
Interestingly enough, we talk about the USA team, which is very much a family team. Michael Adams, Stuart McKenzie, who's Michael's best friend, and Jeffrey Kent, his brother-in-law. On the part of the English side, I don't think that they have played together as much as that. But interestingly enough, they fly back on Sunday night to play on Monday at Windsor. And they play together as a team.
Well, having lost that game Wednesday 10-6, they're now out front 3-1. There's number 4, the Prince.
Yeah,
right
he just made a back shot. Here it comes again. McKenzie just steals the ball.
Well done. Well done by both.
Right.
Martin Brown of England with a nice defensive move, and the United States continues on the attack.
Whoa.
There's a ball
Excellent
blocked by the
Brown.
Prince. I mean, was I seeing correctly? Did the Prince block that in midair?
I think that was Martin Brown.
Oh, okay. Well, you know,
but it was
these English all look alike, Lord Wood.
I'll remember that one, Tim.
It's interesting that because of the fact that the Americans beat the English, but now the English have a good lead on this game.
And they seem to be really in control of the proceedings, although
they are. They're making a lot of defensive plays. See, there's another cleared right out of the mouth of the goal.
See, I knew there was some defense involved in this game.
Oh, yes.
I think I remember from my Army days, they always said, you've got to attack.
I thought Montgomery was supposed to be a great defensive general. He let the Germans make the mistakes. But that's another story and another issue.
There it goes.
And there's that's no mistake for the United States.
Jeffrey Kent put that in. McKenzie set the play up.
Well, so now we have a tighter match with the United States getting back on the board, or increasing their total on the board. Now, Tommy, if you could take a look at the replay we're about to see, maybe describe in a little bit detail just what kind of things are going on here physically.
Okay, well, here comes That's Adam Butler there. Just hit a forward shot. The English, okay. Yes, it started to go in. Prince Charles actually stopped the ball right in the mouth of the goal to try to make a defensive play, but then Jeffrey Kent came through and swept it in.
It was a brilliant save on the part of the Prince of Wales.
Well, it was. It was a good save.
And a great shot by...
Jeffrey's a great attacker, though. He's always running fast and coming at you.
In fact, Prince Charles will be playing for Jeffrey Kent's team next year.
That's right.
The Abercrombie and Kent team. So that's nice to see them match up.
Something you don't see very often.
Well, you know, we were mentioning that while the Prince was preoccupied on Wednesday, his place on the team was taken by Major Ferguson, who indeed has a great deal of fame and notoriety of his own. And let's go to Janet Davies to talk to the Major. Janet?
All right. This is Major Ronald Ferguson. Of course, he is Prince Charles's polo manager and father, as we well know, to the Princess Andrew, Duchess of York. Plus the fact that you are playing out here. You've already played and you're playing on Sunday. But today, the Prince has taken over as captain. Is that correct?
That's right. He's taken my place today. And I, maybe if the team allow me, I come back again on Sunday.
What exactly is the Prince's rating on the team? 4. Now, what does that mean?
It means the best handicap is 10, and the worst is 0. So he's about round about halfway.
What kind of ponies does he like to play with?
Like everybody else, easy and fast. And of course, it's a great hazard, not a hazard, it's a great additional problem when you arrive and you haven't ridden any of the horses before. And that's why I rode all his horses on Wednesday and made the selection. In fact, it's not true to say he hasn't ridden them before, because he's ridden 2 of Michael Butlers in Palm Desert, and he's ridden 2 of Jeffrey Kent's in Palm Beach, so he's actually played for them before.
You were at the ball last night.
That's right,
would you tell me about it?
No, it was a very good ball. We all enjoyed ourselves enormously. Tremendous organization, and we had a tremendous time. I think everybody did.
Now, Chicago is actually an annual visit for you, is it not?
Oak Brook is, yes. I've been coming here roughly since 1962.
And one last question. Does your daughter, has she ever played the game? I know she's quite a horsewoman.
No. She's never actually played polo. She's ridden my ponies an awful lot. Obviously, being brought up in a polo world, she's ridden them the whole time. She's never actually played. I don't think she's ever held a stick, to be truthful. Neither am I going to encourage her to do so.
All right. Thank you very much, Major Ferguson. All right, let's go back to Tim.
Bye.
And we are live back at the polo action, and we stress the Prince likes his polo ponies easy and fast, and that goes for all of us. Incidentally, the Major was talking about his daughter. Tommy, women do play this game and play it well.
Oh, yes. There's a growing number of women playing now. There's really no reason why a woman can't excel in polo if she's a good rider.
Or any other sport, I think we might.
In fact, Tommy, we claim the best player, I think, Claire Tomlinson, who's played out here at Oak Brook, I believe.
Yes, I've never seen her play myself, but I hear she's quite something.
Well, that was a shot that was wide, as you see, and England maintains a 3-2 lead as the United States now pressing forward.
All right, Stuart McKenzie, dribbling and controlling and thinking all the time.
It's wonderful to see how well Stuart controls the ball.
Yes.
Now, you see that railing on the field. That railing, of course, keeps the ball in play, and when that's in play around the field, it's no longer a 200-yard wide field. It's 160 yards wide.
Okay, here comes Jeffrey Kent on the attack. But Oliver Ellis is there and pops the ball away out of his reach.
And there's the Prince digging for the ball, turning around. Great agility these polo ponies must have.
Oh, yes. They've got to have that. Nice. Very good back shot by Stuart.
Stuart McKenzie.
Adam Butler shooting now.
And Adam didn't quite get all of his mallet.
Oh,
it just rolls wide.
Another near miss for the Americans.
That would have tied the game up. Lord Wedgwood, they say that the pony is 75% of the package, meaning the player and the pony together. Tommy, being a player, do you think that's true, that the pony is 75%?
Well, it's close to that. It depends on the player himself,
Another spill. Oh, my goodness. Oh
boy.
That's number 3, Oliver Ellis for Great Britain, and he does not appear to be feeling very good at this point. The horse fell on top of him a bit, and he is in great pain.
I think he might have interacted with the horse's legs.
Adam Butler down with him.
Boy, this is it's been a spill-marred game so far.
I think McKenzie came in a little too early on that bump that time.
And Adam Butler, in that tape we saw, stressed how safety is first and foremost in everyone's mind.
It's actually the reverse. It's the same play that happened with the earlier spill with McKenzie and Ellis.
Mm-hmm.
But the tables were turned this time.
Yes, indeed.
I don't know whether there's something to that or not.
Yeah, he appears to have been nicked around the face a bit. Bloody nose, perhaps. And those mend.
Well, every serious player has to has to know how to fall.
Well, here's another look at it.
Yeah.
And you see, indeed, Mackenzie did cut right in front of Oliver Ellis, and the pony stopped a bit short and just couldn't hold his footing.
The ponies will always try and avoid, and in some instances it's very, very difficult not to.
And yet, Tommy, these ponies are, of course, bred and trained for contact. I mean, that's an integral part of the training, is to make sure that they're able to deal with that. Well, we're able to deal with it too, and we'll take advantage of this brief timeout to break away for just a moment and then come back with more live polo action after this.
Everybody knows that Nexus is a really good shampoo, so everybody uses it. Until somebody notices that everybody is using it and puts the Nexus someplace where just anybody can't find it. Well, nobody's going to stand for that, and pretty soon, everybody is trying to keep anybody and everybody from finding the Nexus.
Honey, have you seen the Nexus?
Where did you look? Nexus is easy to find. It's at hairstyling salons everywhere.
At Dominic's this week, you'll enjoy grade A savings on USDA grade A fresh whole frying chickens. Tender and nutritious, just 49 cents a pound. Save the old-fashioned way at Dominic's on old-fashioned country-style sliced bacon. In the deli for just $1.29 a pound. And let's head for the cool, crisp savings on large-size head lettuce, picked fresh for salads or sandwiches, just 49 cents each during the Produce Festival at Dominic's.
Meals can be a dream when you serve a hand this lean. Do-do, do-do. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It tastes supreme. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So tender and lean. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Dubuque.
Enjoy juicy lean Dubuque hams, canned or smoked, remarkably delicious.
Dubuque, Dubuque. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Dubuque, Dubuque. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Dubuque.
I'm getting ready for my big night with Sylvester Stallone. I just got Group W cable with HBO. Oh, Rambo.
You can be getting the blockbuster movie action on cable TV if you live on the north or northwest side of the city. With Group W's introductory trial offer, installation is only $4.95, and your first 10 days are absolutely free. If you're not satisfied within 10 days, you'll get your $4.95 back. So call 794-2300 now.
Rambo.
Well, incidentally, Rambo is a polo fan. Sylvester Stallone owns a couple of polo ponies, so we hope he's enjoying the action if he's anywhere near a Channel 7 monitor. We are, I would say, late in the second chukker here. Lord Wedgwood sipping on a Pimm's Cup. You know, I'd like to see Harry Carey try a Pimm's Cup. He's
wouldn't you? take that, is it the butt out of his hand?
No, please, no. No gratuitous plugs for other brewing companies. But at any rate, it's nice to have you here in the booth with us. And it's nice to have your Pimm's Cup handy.
I can attest to this little refresher. It goes very well with polo and many other things.
Why is that, do you suppose, Tommy? Pimm's Cup and polo? Just one of those traditions, I suppose.
That's right.
And there you see the crowd, which of course is indulging in quite a lot today, really. It's a special day to have the royalty on hand, to have the pageantry of polo, and generally a fine day. And
it's Prince Charles getting ready to take a penalty shot.
Yes, indeed. And here he comes approaching the ball. Hits it well.
Straight.
A lot of contact as the United States team tries to clear it out of there. Backhand shot by, I didn't catch his number, Tommy.
That was Martin Brown, I believe. But the Americans cleared it out. Here comes McKenzie with the
cleared
ball.
away by Stuart McKenzie.
Here's Jeffrey Kent coming on it.
The ball is coming over to the railing here. Now this is very tricky right here along the rail. You see Kent goes over the rail, and I believe we have the bell that will indicate the end of our... Oh, another spill by Adam Butler. Goodness gracious, you know, this is an incredibly rugged game. I mean,
you can go to a number of different games and not see one spill, and we've seen several.
Usually this many spills. These two teams are playing so competitively.
And Adam is not, he seems to be hurt.
Well, he hit pretty hard.
He hit on his shoulder, so...
he's all right.
All right, he's going to be okay.
He's like Iron Mike. He'll be back up again.
Well, he's 22 years old as well. Ought to be very resilient. He says, please, no more medical attention. And let's shake it off. That's his father, Michael Butler, number 4. with the helmet, and he's got a broken foot. How did he break that, Lord Wedgwood?
He was in fact playing in a game just over a week ago, and he was riding against, or somebody was riding him off, and unfortunately his foot was sticking out, as I understand it, and caught against the other player, and that caused it to break.
And that is his, not the foot we're seeing, but the foot on the other side of the pony, the right foot. And he's very happy to see that his number one son, or I don't know, his number is 1. I don't know if that's the number one
That's right,
son.
and his number one son.
Okay,
Absolutely.
fine. Well,
number one son.
We're consistent there, and he's all right and gallops back into the fray. We do not have a clock here, so we can't tell you exactly how. Is that the end of the second chukker? Yeah. Good. I didn't want to miss that one either. Well, we've talked a great deal about the Prince, of course, and I would imagine one gentleman who's as close to the Prince as anybody could be today, his groom. Not the bridegroom, you understand, but the horse groom. So let's go to Janet Davies in a discussion with the groom for the Prince of Wales.
Obviously, the gentlemen out there need some help when they mount their horses, and we have right now with us probably the most famous trainer here today. This is James Rice. He works with the Oak Brook Polo Club, and he is trainer for Michael Butler. But today, Mr. Butler has lent you to the to Prince Charles. Now, what exactly do you have to do for him, Mr. Rice?
Mount him, just to bring the horse out, put him on the horse, and see that everything is done right to the horse before he gets on. And then hold the horse until he's on and off, and then stand and wait for him with the next horse.
Now, is this a big thrill for you? Have you done it before?
I've done it before. I've done it this winter in Indio at El Dorado Polo Club, and it was really fun because he's really a great person to mount. He's real nice, very courteous, and a real true polo player. He's a very good polo player, and he's easy to mount, and a very nice gentleman, really.
What does he say to you? Does he joke with you, or is he deadly serious during the game?
Well, he speaks, and every once in a while he'll say how well the pony went and how he liked the pony and so forth and so on. He's a very friendly guy, yes.
How many horses does he have here today to play with?
He has 7. He's 6 to play and 1 on the side in case one horse gets tired or gets hurt or something like that. He has an alternate here.
Okay, quick question before we go. Is he a better player than Mr. Butler?
No comment.
Oh, you're such a diplomat.
Yes, he is indeed. He'd be a fool to answer that question. Offend the Prince or his boss? That's a real toss-up.
He handled that one very well.
Yes, he did. Well, that's just like he handles the ponies very well. And there you see the score going into the third chukker. This will be a 6-chukker game, so after this one there will be a halftime. And Lord Wedgwood, an interesting tradition. A lot of divots, of course, are kicked up by the ponies. At halftime, the spectators get out on the field and actually replace the divots, and that includes Her Royal Highness the Queen.
Absolutely.
Everybody has to replace a divot.
Is expected, and anybody who sits in their seat better have a broken leg or whatever it may be.
You must get out on the field. What if you run out of divots? There got a lot of people here today.
Well, you just still look as though you're putting in a divot.
Now, by God, I like that. You have the chairman of the board of Marshall Field, the chairman of the board of BMW, royalty, everybody out there into landscaping, and that's really nice.
Yeah, that's why it's such an enjoyable occasion. You can watch the sport and you can be around everybody and enjoy it as a social occasion as well.
But Tommy, while we've been enjoying the action, there have been some very hair-raising moments here today. When's the last time you saw a game with this many spills?
I haven't seen one this season, actually, with this many spills, but usually see maybe 1 or 2 in a game, but this 4 so far is...
What's your worst spill as a professional player?
Oh, I went off a horse and broke my collarbone one time. That was the worst.
Tommy, I thought it was the one you had the other day.
No, that was a semi-serious one, but it wasn't my worst.
You're talking about the one he had on the field?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that one.
Oh, yes, that one. Now, there's a bit of standing around here as we prepare for the third chukker, but I think that, as you say, Lord Wedgwood, the action has lagged a little bit simply because there have been so many mishaps, and I think everybody's...
Unfortunately, we should be well into the third period and maybe into the half by now, but there have been a number of stoppages. There's Michael.
There's Michael.
Michael
right,
Butler.
Stewart up. Oh, Stewart got it back. That was uh-oh. We have a lot of interacting between Stuart McKenzie and Oliver Ellis.
I noticed that. Well, they're both the best players on their respective teams.
That's true.
and they're both playing the key positions. Now, what is it going to be like after the match? They've both taken each other down twice now, and it's very scary.
No, there's an unwritten rule.
They're going to drink a Pim's Cup to
That's
each
right.
other?
Whatever happens on the field, you leave it on the field. When you leave the field, it stays on the field.
I wish American professional athletes would develop that that attitude and that philosophy.
Yes, that's one thing.
It's tough to leave your game on the field when you're making about $1.5 million a year. Of course, these guys make several $1 million a minute, so that's not true, though, is it?
No, it really
A lot of the
isn't
polo
true.
players, well, let's talk to Tommy. He is one. You're not a man of wealth, are you? You play for people of wealth, but...
Well, that's right. I play, and I get paid, I make a living.
You live comfortably.
I make a living at it. And
The game is wonderful that it's survived as well as it has through people like Michael Butler, through the
game is
big
flourishing
sponsors.
now.
Absolutely.
The game is as big as it's ever been in the United States.
And of course, you just look at some of the names on the tents around, you'll understand why.
I'm not going to ask Tommy Harris for his pedigree here, but I mean, it's nice to have him up in the booth. I've never had a lord for a color man before. I must say, I'm a bit taken aback.
I have to say, I've never done this before, and I've never been with you, Tim, on this. It's a great experience.
Another near miss for the United States.
They've had 3 or 4.
It's unbelievable.
And that would have tied the game at 3. There's the Prince getting away. Now, this is called a knock-in, Tommy?
That's right. I think the British team is really out to avenge Wednesday's test match, where they got soundly beaten.
There's the Prince with the charge up the field, as we say, up against the rail. I see he's riding hard.
He had Adam Butler on his hip, and he sort of pushed through him.
When you
still on the ball.
Tommy, when you see these ponies with mallets flailing around their heads and they're running full speed down the field, it takes a great deal of training.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, it's a very frightening thing when a horse first comes in contact with that. But that's why it takes from 1 to 3 years to train one of these ponies.
Well, we're nearing the end of our live telecast. The United States trailing 3-2. We're going to stay out here and throughout our newscast during the rest of the afternoon, keep you updated. But Janet, this is it continues to be a very exciting afternoon, isn't it?
Tips. My mic is on right here. Well, we got our mic going. I'm down here once again at the British and Hospitality tents. I'll tell you, the odor down here by the polo ponies, and there's so many of them, is a little pungent. Oh, here they come. I hope the Prince is coming toward us. No, not quite. He's back there. But we will have more live coverage of the Prince of Wales Cup for you at Eyewitness News at 4 and 5. Tim?
All right, Janet, very good. That is indeed the story from Oak Brook. It's been a very anxiety-ridden afternoon. We can't really sit back and relax, enjoy all the pageantry, because polo is indeed a dangerous sport. But we're glad to be part of it, and we will continue to be part of it as the afternoon continues. But for this segment, at least, Lord Piers Wedgwood and Tommy Harris, thanks so much for helping me through. This has been a maiden voyage, and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Tim.
For all of us. Thank you, Tim.
All right. We'll be back at Oak Brook in a bit, but in the meantime, it's cheerio, pip, pip, and all that stuff, and we'll be updating you later throughout the newscast. Thanks for being with us. Goodbye, everybody.
Eyewitness News at 4 is next.
My recollection of Mr. McFarland's testimony was that he did not want to offer a judgment on second-guessing what I did and the circumstances that were involved. He only indicated what he would do.
I believe that's correct. I think that's correct. As far as this testimony, I recall in the Intelligence Committee he had much more explicit testimony, but I won't go into that here. I don't have the page number, and I will accept your interpretation of that. Well, my question to you, how is it that McFarland and North so misjudged your own actions?
Well, first, I'm not sure that that Mr. McFarland did, or at least I haven't heard that. With regard to Colonel North, I think that he was thinking more in military terms and not necessarily considering all of the political issues involved, which I felt that I was considering.
Speaking of misjudgments, Mr. Leon went in a few minutes ago with you about the recent White House statement since your testimony. As you recall, in this morning's paper, without trying to get real specific on it, the White House disputed, I believe the paper, let me read you the quote, it'd be better here. The White House yesterday disputed Poindexter's earlier contention that Reagan would have approved the diversion of funds to the Contras if he had been asked to do so. Spokesman Marlon Fitzwater said the diversion, quote, wouldn't have happened, end quote, had Reagan been advised. Fitzwater also said that officials who failed to seek Reagan's approval for important decisions, as Poindexter testified he had in the case of the diversion, had done the president a, quote, disservice. You read that?
I think I had it read to me this morning.
Then you said in answer to the previous question, I would have expected him to say that. This is a quote, according to my taking down notes. Quoting you, I would have expected him to say that. That is the whole idea of deniability. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, I ask you, Admiral, you testified on July 15th, morning session, page 98, quoting you,
some of our CBS News affiliated stations are going to leave now to take care of their business as they see it. Our arrangement with them is that we will say that our CBS News live coverage will resume at 2 o'clock Eastern time this afternoon. For those affiliated stations not breaking away at this time, our CBS News live coverage continues.
Maybe I can just cut this short, Admiral.
Yeah, I don't have July 15th.
Let me just... Morning session. I believe that the president would have approved the decision at the time if I'd asked him.
I'm sorry, Mr. Senator. Could you...
Page 98. I have a quote out here. I can make this a lot easier without... Let me just ask you again, Admiral. After reading the denials by the White House issued since your testimony, do you still believe the president would have approved that decision if you had asked him?
I do.
But you have not changed your mind?
I have not changed my mind.
Again, you said July 15th, 1987, page 95, and I'll give you a chance to flip here. Reading the words, if you can find them, quote, I made the decision. I felt I had the authority to do it. I thought it was a good idea. I was convinced that the president would, in the end, think it was a good idea, end quote. Do you see that?
Yes.
I see it.
Is that still your testimony?
It is.
So the denials from the White House have had no effect on your testimony?
No, they have not.
That means, Admiral, you must believe the White House is now misleading the American people.
No, I don't think so.
How can it not be?
Well, number one, what you have are reports of what Marlon Fitzwater said. I don't know exactly.
But you don't believe he's speaking for the president?
Well, I would want to have a personal conversation with the president, which I have not had and which would not be appropriate at this time.
Well, if Martin Fitzwater really was speaking for the president, would you agree that those statements are, in your opinion, misleading the American people?
Senator, as I have testified before, and you have gone over some of the instances just now, I felt that the president would approve that if I had asked him. I still feel that way. I'm giving you my thought process at the time, my thought process now. At this point, I can't speak for the White House. I don't know what they've got in mind over there, and I really can't comment on that.
Well, I would just observe, Admiral, and you can refute this if you like, that the White House statements directly contradict your testimony, and you're standing by your testimony, so your testimony directly contradicts the White House statements.
That is correct. That appears to be obvious. People can draw their own conclusions, I guess.
Yes. Turning to another area, Admiral, do you recall, you heard the testimony here, and I don't want to belabor the point, but I'll go back through it briefly here. Did Colonel North tell you about his meeting with Gobonifar in the bathroom that he related to this committee?
I don't recall that. I don't believe that I was aware that the idea had initiated with Gobonifar.
Well, he said that I believe NER had mentioned the possibility of generating funds, but Gobonifar went further and said that specifically the Contra money could be raised from the arms sale. That's paraphrasing, but I think that's close.
Yeah,
you don't remember him telling you that?
I don't remember anything about Gobonifar. I do believe that in the discussion in February of '86, Mr. Neer's name came up, but I don't recall anything about Gobonifar.
Do you remember anything about Gobonifar and North in the bathroom being told to you? Either orally or from personal observation, Adam. You don't know anything about that?
I don't know anything about Mr. Gobonifar in the bathroom.
Do you know anything about the $1 million offer that Colonel North related from Gobonifar? $1 million offer to him? You call it a bribe?
I don't recall that.
Would you have expected that to be related to you as his superior, or was sort of routine as Colonel North portrayed it?
Not necessarily. I would not have had the slightest doubt in my mind that what Colonel North's reaction to that would be, and in the whole scheme of things, I don't think he or I would have considered that as a very important issue.
Colonel North testified that in January of 1986, he had, quoting him, grave reservations, end quote, about the wisdom of the Iranian initiative. Did Colonel North express those reservations to you?
I think I was aware that Colonel North had a little more difficulty than I did in drawing the fine line that the president was drawing. You see, as I've testified before, even if you forgot about all of the other aspects of the Iranian project and only addressed the hostage portion of it, which was not, as I've testified before, not the totality of the president's thinking on the subject. But if you isolate everything else and just consider that separately, even then, the president did not consider that it was arms for hostage, because we were talking about selling arms to the Iranians to put pressure on the Hezbollah, who were the captors of the hostages, to release them.
Well, Admiral, I'm puzzled on that point, because you keep saying that, and we hear that, but you keep also describing the hostages as being an obstacle to establishing the new strategic relationship with the Iranians. Is that right?
That's right, because we thought that that was a very good test as to whether the Iranians were really serious.
But if they're not the ones holding the hostages, how can the removal of the hostages be a necessary condition precedent to establishing a relationship with Iran?
They can put pressure, we thought, on the Hezbollah.
So you thought they had some connection with the terrorists then?
We thought that they had some connection with the Shia fundamentalist groups in Lebanon in terms of providing financing and assistance.
Doesn't that disassemble the statements that have been made that you weren't giving arms to terrorists? I don't see how you can have it both ways, Admiral. I know there are fine lines here, but it seems to me that one's cut a little too fine.
The problem that we saw was that there were many different factions in Iran. Some felt that hostage taking was appropriate. Others felt that it wasn't. Some were opposed to continuing terrorism. Some felt that that the use of terrorism had not served Iran well and wanted to make a change for the better.
All right, well, let me go back to another line which we'd already started here. Basically, Colonel North didn't relate to you. He did relate to you his reservations, but let me frame the question this way. Did he relate to you this new incentive that was related to him by Ghorbanifar in the bathroom? That is, the idea of getting additional funds from the sales of arms to Iran to use in the Contra operation.
I don't recall that the conversation went in that direction. My recollection of it is that this was an additional benefit that we would get out of the Iranian project that I certainly had not anticipated.
Well, he testified, and let me just make this clear so the record will be clear. Colonel North testified that Ghorbanifar took him into the bathroom and, quote, suggested several incentives to make that February transaction work. And the attractive incentive for me was the one he made that residuals could flow to support the Nicaraguan resistance, end quote. He had expressed before that he had grave reservations until that event occurred. And what you're saying, as I understand it, is he didn't convey this sense of shifting of priorities to you.
I don't recall that he did.
Because he testified, as I understand his testimony, that really he was pessimistic about achieving the original findings, which were set forth in that January 17th finding, and achieving the original goals, scratch the word findings, achieving the original goals, and he then shifted in his own mind as the principal operations officer to a more attractive goal, and that is raising funds for the Contras.
I do not recall now that I drew that kind of conclusion that he had made at the time.
If you had, and I realize this is hypothetical, if you had drawn that conclusion, would you have then had a different view about your obligation to report to the President that the Chief Operating Officer had shifting goals that he thought were achievable?
As I said, I don't recall Colonel North making that so obvious at the time that he felt that way about it. But that was very early in the Iranian project. The President had made very clear to me, I felt, that he wanted to continue with the project. Even after the negative report from Mr. McFarland about the character of Ghorbanifar. So we had, the President had, and I and others had no misconceptions about the channel that we started on, but I think that we both, the President and I, saw Ghorbanifar as an opportunity to start talking with some Iranians. One of the early objectives was to get a meeting in Tehran so that we could identify some other channels.
Admiral, I don't want to cut you off, but I need to pursue some other lines. I just ask you if you had gotten the same interpretation that Colonel North gave this committee, that is that the original goals he wasn't very optimistic about, but the new goal, the new possibility of raising funds for the Contras is a major factor. If you had that presented that way from him, would that have changed your view about necessity of reporting to the President?
I don't know. It is a hypothetical question.
Fine, thank you. Admiral, you've testified, and if I'm not fair in summarizing this, I certainly want you to correct me. You were determined to protect the president from political embarrassment by not telling him, this is about the diversion, and by preventing a leak of the plan. You treated this as a highly compartmentalized issue. You took great pains not to tell anyone, including the president and Director Casey, and you told North not to put anything in writing on this. Is that a fair summarization?
Yes, the putting nothing in writing, I think, probably was a more general statement to him.
Right,
But
more
it
general.
certainly included the Iranian project.
Well, when you saw, if you saw these 5 memos come across your desk, the diversion memos, under that set of rigid protective instructions, don't you believe